Eula. It's a wonderful day, and I am so thankful to God for blessing us to see another day. He is so good to each and every one of us. And it's just a blessing to be with you today and have you with us today. I am so thankful. I don't see Esther yet. I'm trying to see what's going on. I don't see her. Clee, where are you? So, dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. It's such a wonderful day. It's sunny outside here in Dallas. And God is doing what he does, and that's sustaining us and keeping us each and every day. And for that, I am so thankful to him. I'm trying to get this live on YouTube, but we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn simultaneously. And our topics today are the 40-year secret is what Clee is going to bring, the 40-year secret. And so I am so anxious to hear that, the 40-year secret. And mine is watch out for those Freudian slips. So I don't see her at all, and I don't know what's going on. I do not know what's happening. And she hasn't sent a message either. So she should come on here real soon. She should come on real soon. So I want to make sure that uh, things are going well, and I'm going to go over and check on this other page here and see what's going on and see if we're on live over here. I know we're live because it tells me that we are on live. And I just want to make sure, but I don't know what's happening with Cleester. I did talk with her, and I have her subject and everything. And I don't know, well, things happen. Things happen. And so, okay, I heard a click. So let me see. Let me get back over here so I can bring her in. And Eula, I did talk with Eula through text this morning. There she is. All right, Reedy. Where, where have you been? Can you hear me?
I hear you fine and well. How are
Oh,
you?
I'm doing dandy
Look
wandy.
behind me. Look behind me.
Okay, let me see. Uh, I can't tell. Wait a minute. This thing is acting up on me.
You can't see me?
Oh, wait a minute. You haven't come up. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, now it, it's
It's that
still
white woman behind you.
hello, hello, hello,
Your turn.
hello. But
Your
on my
turn.
screen, okay, on one of them you're not on, and but on the other one you are.
Look,
So,
look.
hello, is that Gail?
That's Ruby. Gail was the other one.
Hi, Ruby. Hi, Gail. Hi, Ruby. So happy to see you today. So happy to see you. We
On
have some great topics today. Clee, yours is I introduced it, but go ahead and tell us
the
what it
40 year
is.
old secret.
Oh
The
my
40-year
goodness.
secret.
I am so anxious to hear about that 40-year
Where
secret.
my purse is? I can't see
I,
out here.
I'm trying to get me here on but okay, we will go ahead and I will go. My mine is watch out for that Freudian slip.
Ooh.
And so what is a Freudian slip? Today, a so-called Freudian slip might describe any kind of misspeak. These errors don't always have a psychoanalytic interpretation. For example, a child who accidentally calls their teacher mom is simply transitioning from spending most of the day with their mother to spending most of the day with their teacher. Okay, so the Freudian slip. So, what's up with the Freudian slip? I have psychology today, I have Healthline here, I have some more psychology today. But there's one that said, what's up with the Freudian slip? And so I wanted to get to that. Um, but we're talking about it. So what a Freudian slip is, it's when you are, and Reedy, I don't know where you are. What happened? There, oh, she went off and came. She's back, coming back now.
I didn't
Oh,
go out.
okay, there you are.
I didn't
So
go out. I don't know what happened.
I don't either. But a Freudian slip is when they say it's when Freud says, okay, when you are, there's a thought or a wish or a desire you have in the back of your mind. But you're speaking on one thing and you're saying one thing, but then that's in the back of your mind that you really want to say or that is really in your mind comes out. So it says
Uh-huh.
what you're really thinking comes out. And some people don't agree with him about that, but it's just in a nutshell, what he's saying is whatever you're thinking, what is that? We say everything in you's got to come out. Everything
What
in,
comes up comes out.
uh, yeah, what comes up comes out. But it
What
says
comes
it's
up comes out.
be in the back of your mind, and the reason because something happened a few days ago, and I'm thinking, and then and another thing that it is, you can tell by people's personalities and your dealings with people if this was really a mistake, if it was a mistake, or was it a Freudian slip? Was it something they really wanted to say or been thinking all along? Clean my clothes. I don't know why I had to.
There you go. There she goes, Daisy.
I don't know what's going on with my clothes. Anyway, oops. Anyway, so so
Keep on pulling them. You're going to pull them
so so what it's saying is that what you're thinking, thoughts you have deep in your mind, when you get ready to project one thing, then those thoughts might pop up sometime. And so,
out.
and then, but like I said, now, if you know a person's personality, if you had dealings with people, you have a history with people, you know people, then you can pretty much tell whether it's a Freudian slip or whether it was a mistake. Okay. So we'll go in here about this Freudian slip. Okay, let's see. In Freudian slip, meaning and explanations, and we're in uh, what is this? What's okay? Yeah, what's the deal with Freudian slips? And we know Freud is. Let me talk a little bit about him.
Ziegman.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ziegman. Yep, that's him.
Let me find him. Okay, let me go back over here and try to get him. Let me get him. Something my internet is kind of, I don't know what's going on. Okay, I think it's coming up now. Freudian psychology is based on the work of an Austrian neurologist. He's a neurologist, Sigmund Freud, and he lived from 1856 to 1939. He is considered the father of psychoanalysis and is largely credited with establishing the field of talk therapy. Today,
Uh-huh.
psychoanalytic and psychodynamic approaches to therapy are the modalities that draw most heavily on Freudian principles. Freud also developed influential theories about subjects such as the unconscious mind, the sources of psychopathology, the significance of dreams. So, what is he known for? Freud is known for his wide-ranging theories on matters such as the unconscious, dreams, infantile sexuality, libido, repression, and transference, all of which continue to influence the field of psychology to varying degrees. He was trained as a neurologist. He conceived of the mind as a desire-centered id, the morally driven superego, and the ego, or the I, in between. contributed to a new understanding of human psychological development and the treatment of psychological disturbances. So, a lot of things I've seen while studying for my counseling and everything, I saw some methods that some of these psychologists, some of these therapists were using on people that were terrible, terrible, terrible
Yeah.
things. And I don't know what all that he used on people, but we just but this other concepts that are popularly associated with Freud today include that of revealing Freudian slips in speech and Freud's theory of the Oedipus complex, in which a child harbors an unconscious sexual attraction to an opposite sex parent. So how did he describe the unconscious? The unconscious part of the mind was described as a well of powerful thoughts and feelings that people are not directly aware of, but which have an important impact on everyday life. He believed that this concealed mental material contributed to the development of mental illness. So, what are the id, ego, and the superego? Freud created a model of the mind featuring three parts: the id, ego, and the superego. The id was the seat of primitive drives, including sexual and aggressive impulses. The ego included conscious processes as well as unconscious defense mechanisms erected to handle conflicts between the id and the demands of reality. The superego was considered the mental embodiment of society's moral codes, which could result in self blame and guilt. So he did a lot of research, a lot of research. So I'm going to get on down to this. What is a Freudian slip? What is a Freudian slip? Is an instance of misspeaking. We've had a few setbacks. You hear that? It's supposed to be setbacks.
That was a
Or
good one. That was a good one.
or nice to beat you instead of nice to meet you. Okay, so that supposedly reveals hidden thoughts or motives. Freud
Yes.
described such slips in his 1901 book, that's 1901, the year, The Psychopathology of Everyday Life. And what he was saying, that they compared it to like a woman meeting her significant other's ex. And so it said, instead of saying, it's nice to meet you, she said, it's nice to beat you. BEAT. It's nice to beat you. Okay. So it talks about other things, but I'm going to go on and get into this Freudian slip thing. And they also call it a parapraxis. It refers to what you might also call a slip of the tongue. And it's when you mean to say one thing, but instead say something entirely different. It commonly happens when you're talking, but can also occur when typing or writing something down, and even in your memory or lack thereof. According to psychoanalytic thought, you can trace these slip ups back to unconscious desires and urges, whether those are things you actually want to say but feel unable to express, or unrealized feelings that haven't yet entered your realm of conscious thought. Freudian slips are incredibly common, but do they really always relate to secret impulses and unexpressed desires, or is there a simpler explanation? And there is something here is talking about Teddy Kennedy. This is Psychology Today. That last one was what is it? Read it.
I said, where that laugh come from?
That last one was healthline.com. And the other one I had was healthline.com. But this, I'm thinking about what Teddy Kennedy said some time ago. Ted
Yes, ma'am.
Kennedy was giving a speech about education that was televised on C-SPAN. So the late senator often moved his hands when he spoke, like I move my hands a lot.
Yeah, we uh-huh.
And his gestures were especially expansive that day. So his voice conveyed a sense of urgency that made pulses race. Our national interest, he intoned, ought to be to encourage. And then his strong hands cupped the air and he said, the breast. Okay. So it said the audience kind of snickered a little bit. They didn't know whether to laugh or not. But you know how we do sometimes, we cannot help it. It said, but they didn't have an opportunity to savor the gaffe without hesitation. The master orator backed up and started again. And this is what he said. This time it came out right. The best and brightest. The
What are you
best
gonna
and
say? The breast and the bitest?
and getting on down in here as I was reading, it was saying that there might have been a lady sitting out there, and he might have seen her breasts, and then said that because those things do happen.
Yeah, they do happen.
So slips of the tongue are inevitable, almost inevitable. For every 1,000 words spoken, we make one or two errors. Considering that the average pace of speech is 150 words a minute, a slip is bound to occur about once every 7 minutes of continuous talk. Each day, most of us make somewhere between 7 and 22 verbal slips. Sigmund Freud, whose name is indelibly linked with such gaffes, called them faulty actions in his 1901 book, The Psychopathology of Everyday Life. He deemed them notable for revealing an unconscious thought, belief, wish, or motive. Almost invariably, I discover a disturbing influence from something outside of the intended speech, he wrote. The disturbing element is a single unconscious thought which comes to light through the special blunder. And people have made those, and you, like I said, you can tell if you know the person.
Yep.
You can tell whether
Yep.
it's a mistake or a Freudian slip. So the Freudian slip is invoked to explain some strange and embarrassing behavior. Nice to meet you, smiles a woman when she meets the ex-girlfriend of her husband. A dinner guest thanks the host for the hostility. So soon after the adulterous Tiger Woods complained of a neck injury, a female reporter blurted that the golfer withdrew from the 2010 Players Tournament due to a bulging DI, and there are two others in
Oh
his
my
back.
God.
Instead of disc, she said a
Yeah.
bulging in his back. Okay, when the founder of Al Qaeda, they pronounce it Al Qaeda, was finally ambushed and killed last year. Well, he said last year, so you can tell this is far
Yeah,
back, but it's
right.
still good. And a critic of the president said, a critic of President Obama,
Uh-huh.
that they had killed Osama
Bin
bin
Laden.
Laden.
Right.
But this critic of the president said, Obama is dead and I don't care. So was that a Freudian slip or was that just an innocent mistake?
Or did he really just mean it?
That's what I'm saying.
You said innocent.
I said Freudian slip first.
Oh, okay. All
That was in
right.
the back of his mind,
It might have a little
because it
bit.
said he's a critic of President Obama, and he said Obama is dead, and I don't care. For 7.5 years, he
Somebody said
said,
snatch it
this
right
person
back.
said, I've worked alongside President Reagan. President George H.W. Bush once declared, we've had triumphs, made some mistakes. We've had some uh, setbacks. Oh yes, we've had some. Freud would likely have insisted that a repressed thought or motive in Bush's unconscious reared its ungovernable head. The Viennese psychiatrist might have subjected the president to the couch and asked him about his childhood, his feelings about Reagan, his relationship with his wife, and in the telling, an explanation would emerge. Perhaps hearing himself say triumphs and mistakes triggered an unconscious association with sex. So, those things, excuse me, y'all, I guess it's my allergies.
Triumph.
So Freud laid bare his analysis of slips in psychopathology. So in one example, he notes a blunder made by Miss X in regard to a man, Mr. Y. He found it strange that Miss X spoke warmly of Mr. Y when she had previously expressed indifference or contempt. He said, I really never had anything, she said, I really never had anything against him. I never gave him the chance to captivate my acquaintance. So interrogating the woman, Freud learned that she had become romantically involved with Mr. Y. So from this, he concluded that she meant to say cultivate, while her unconscious thought captivate. By saying captivate, she revealed her hidden thought about becoming engaged to the man. So, this stuff is true. And so I remember one time I was somewhere with someone, and this is an action. And so the person was playing, but the person hit me. And like they were playing.
Right.
But then I immediately, don't do that. And then the person apologized because I don't play that kind of stuff. Because you don't know. See what I'm saying? It could have been a physical Freudian slip.
Physical altercation. It's been some body moving.
So you have to really be careful. And then, and one time I was somewhere, and we were talking. I didn't know of some of the people that were there, but somebody said something that had nothing to do with anything. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And then I said, no, I got to check this out. I got to see what the deal was with this. And I did check it out. I did check it out because it was just, no. Where did that come from? So more than a century after it was identified and long after Freud's ideas, especially about the ubiquity of sexual urges, have been dethroned, the Freudian slip holds an astonishing power to terrorize ordinary men and women. It threatens to reveal passions and motives and problems that lurk so far below the surface that we don't even know they exist. Yeah. If Freud is right, then each one of us at any given moment harbors an F-bomb just waiting to explode. And Rita, you know what
F-bomb just goes.
And that's why I was talking, and I've said it before. There are some shows I like. You know what I'm saying? Shows I like. There's some series I like, but they just cuss so much. And they use the F bomb so much and the MF bomb so much.
Yes.
And I say, oh, I like this. And sometimes I'm sitting up there, Lord, please forgive me for watching because I don't know what He gonna get me for watching the show. And I'll be cringing and going on, But then I also said that if you keep looking at that stuff will get in your spirit. And then you get out somewhere
And
and
call
then
somebody something.
and it, I mean, it'll just come up. They said, "What's in you will come out," and so I have to really be careful because there's one show that I'm watching that I really like now, and I just hate to turn it off, but I think I'm going to have to stop watching it. I think I'm going to have to stop watching it. You know, because I don't want to get out and a F bomb and an MF bomb come out because Satan, here we go,
He
that
busy.
booger,
He busy.
he will get you out there and he will embarrass you, just like Kennedy got up there talking about breast
Somebody breast.
and Bush got up there talking about sex. And then this woman talked about Tiger Woods' lower parts when she was supposed to be talking about his back. That kind of stuff comes out.
Yeah, she
And
said
then
she wanted him to put his back in it. That's what.
and see that kind of stuff. And so they did an experiment. There's an experiment, and I'm going to turn it over to you. But there's an experiment that was done. And so what they did is they were experimenting to see how you could set up people to make these Freudian slips. So there's one professor.
You know why you do that?
He
I'm gonna do this. Go ahead. I got something else to do.
Okay, there was one professor who had the class came in, and so in one class with the young male students, they had a lady, a sexy lady,
No.
and she was they say she was revealing almost everything, thin layered clothes. And then when she sat in front of them, then she would she was sitting where they could see her knees. So let me see if I can get over there. So what they did, they gave certain words for these young men to say. And they had different words, but every time they get ready to say something, almost it has something to do with something about that lady. Like if they said, let me find it because it was so good. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't, I'll have to come back some other time. But he was talking about how the men every time, because from looking at the lady and whatever he had given them to say, every time they would slip up and say something like something sexual because that lady was in front of them and that's what was on their mind. And then there was also an experiment, like a professor told the students, now don't think about the white bear. Don't think about the white bear. And then he'd have them to respond to something or say something, and almost every time the white bear would come up. The subconscious mind.
Yep.
The subconscious mind.
Yep.
So they were still thinking about the white bear subconsciously while they were talking about something totally different. So those Freudian slips now, they can be really, really tricky. But like I say, if you know a person's personality, if you've had experiences with the people, you know when to give them a break and when to know that they're not, that they're really saying what they really mean to say, even though it's slipped out. But they said what they really are thinking in the back of their minds. So we have to really, really watch out for those Freudian slips. And we have to watch ourselves too. That's why I said the Bible tells us to keep our minds pure and don't think evil thoughts. Because it's right on point. Because if we're thinking something about somebody and we get into the company of that person and they get to aggravating us and we try to say one thing and something else might come out. So we have to really, really be careful. So, Reedy, I'm going to turn it over to you. It's 1:30 on the dot. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I love you all.
Are you
Okay.
not
It's
leaving? Are you?
no, I'm staying here.
I got separation
All right. Here
anxiety.
we go. Reedy's
You
coming
know I
on.
got separation anxiety. I can't be gone from you.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just anxious to hear you.
Okay. Mine is the 40-year secret.
Uh-oh.
Boy, I try to do things, and I'm not against men. I'm not against men, but it's some sneaky little devils out there. It's some sneaky little devils, and you got to be on your toes all the time. Even when you ain't on your toes, you better start tipping because they out there, honey, and they out there good. Okay, my excuse me, my this is about Tracy Folly, and it's not an article per se, but I just like articles about different things, different ways people do different things. Okay, my elderly aunt dated the same man for 40 years. I remember how happy they always looked on holidays and at family events like weddings and funerals. Even as a child, I wondered why they just didn't make their relationship official and get married, but they never did. Even though my aunt married aunt was happy with my unofficial uncle, I
I'm
knew
still
she
here.
wanted to marry him. I'm sorry.
I'm still here.
Okay, I knew she wanted to marry him. You threw me off then.
I'm
Uh,
sorry. I
okay.
apologize.
My aunt, well, I knew she wanted to marry him, but my unofficial uncle, Shirley told me. She told me. I knew she wanted to marry him. It was all she ever talked about. After all, shouldn't a couple who has been deeply in love for 4 decades seal the deal eventually? They continued their romance happily, but without a wedding for 4 decades before the unthinkable happened. He died.
Mm.
Since he and my aunt weren't unmarried, his daughter handled the funeral arrangements. On the day of the wedding funeral, okay, that's a Freudian slip because she
Uh,
wrote this down as a wedding. She wrote it down as a wedding. On the day of the funeral, my aunt dressed in her best morning attire and arrived at the funeral home. She was prepared to seat herself in the first spot of the receiving line against the wall nearest the coffin, as that's what the seat typically reserved for the spouse or significant others of the deceased.
mm-hmm.
To her surprise, there was already a woman sitting in that seat. I was sitting not far away with my parents as we were there to pay our respects to a man whom we'd all considered family. My relatives were all there. They had all thought of him as a family member since long before I was born. We all watched in shock and surprise at what happened next. My aunt walked up to the woman who was sitting in what was regarded as her seat. "You're in my spot," she said coolly. The woman appeared ruffled. "No, I am not," she replied. "And who are you?" My aunt visibly stiffened. "I'm his girlfriend," she said. "We have been together for 40 years." The other woman stood up, but did not relinquish the space immediately in front of the contested seat. "And I'm his wife," she declared.
Oh,
Her voice was loud enough for all of us to hear. "We
oh
have
my
been
goodness.
married for 35 years."
Oh my goodness.
My aunt had no choice but to concede defeat. Done. She was quit. It was over. She scurried out of the funeral home as fast as her heels could carry her, and she
Oh
did
my
not
goodness.
return for the wake. She did not go to the church for the funeral service, and she did not appear at the cemetery for the interment. It may have taken 4 decades, but my aunt finally knew she'd been fooled. She never spoke of him again. It was a minor family scandal for years. My aunt kept a low profile after that. Okay, now this is my thing. This is where my head is, and this is why I'm. They've been together 40 years. 40 years. He's been married to this other woman for 35.
35. Mm-hmm.
35 years. So he with this woman 5 years before he even married this woman.
Mm-hmm.
So why string her along for 40 years?
You know what? I, I want to say a slimy
Please say
coward.
it. Huh?
A slimy coward.
That's what it is. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
You gotta keep watching all time. 40 years. He had all family events. He had everything. Weddings, trick or treat when he should have worn a two-faced mask. But he's still there 40 years. And he had to be dead before she found out he was married. He didn't even have the gall to tell this woman he was married. And I married her after I was still dating you. Come on, man. It is not like that. Okay. My aunt kept a low profile after that. We missed her at holidays and other family events like weddings and funerals. And when she did die, she died the same way he had lived. She had lived single. He just messed her up. He messed her totally up. She even withdrew from her family because she was so messed up. That
that was
as it turned out,
devastating.
yes, as it turned out, being snookered was worse than being single. Being snookered was worse than being single. I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to thank my aunt, fully recovered from the shock and embarrassment she suffered on the day of her longtime boyfriend's funeral. I don't think she did because she never showed up
Mm-mm.
too much no more. I don't think she did. But longtime boyfriend funeral. But how does one come back from something like that? Sure, it's not like they were high school sweethearts, but 40 years is a terribly long time to dedicate your life and your heart to someone who has a secret wife. Or maybe it was my aunt who was the secret. There you go. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Evidently,
As
she was a
for
secret. They were secret from each other.
each other, right, right. That's exactly right. That's why I said you can't trust them little devils. You can't trust them little devils. As for the man's fortune, which family gossip says was sizable, it went entirely to the man's wife. My aunt was left fully out of the picture, which was clearly the way her boyfriend wanted it. Otherwise, he would have done something about it before it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see that's what there it is right there. That's the 40-year secret. A 40-year secret. This man married this woman 5 years after he was with the and couldn't leave neither one of them alone. Them little tricky devils, you little tricky devils, you
Ooh,
boy.
that's heartbreaking. That
That
is
is
heartbreaking.
hard. Yes. And they just
Uh-huh.
kept her. And after she found out, she left and they didn't see her for a while. You know she oh
She
my
was
God. Please.
devastated. She was
Yes.
devastated. And she
Yes.
never, I know she never recovered from that.
That's what the girl said. She never recovered because
Mm-mm.
she didn't come around anymore. She didn't come to funerals, weddings, nothing with family oriented. She didn't even come around no more. That is horrible. That is
Ooh.
horrible.
It,
Child, hey, I
and
said,
see,
come on out that coffin, you huh?
that's why we have to really, really be careful. And even when you
Yeah.
meet somebody, you probably need to do a background check on them
Hello. Yep.
and
Yep.
find out what's going on because there's some slick willies and some slick millies too.
Hello.
There's some
And some
slick millies and willies out there.
and
There are
some Millie
women who
Willie.
do the same stuff,
Yes,
and there are
there
women
is.
who
Yes, there
set these
is.
men up to try to get everything they have. And then
Uh-huh.
men set women up sometimes to try to get everything they have, or just what. I want to say this. Now that brings me into talking about this because I listened to Dr. Boyce Watkins yesterday on his podcast, and he was talking about, I think he had done it a day or so before, but he was talking about how men want to be in a relationship, but some of them don't want to get married. But as
Yes.
long as the women let them go on and on, they
They,
will.
they
And he
will. That's
said,
right.
one man, he said he could just get women, women, women. He asked him, man, how do you get those women like that? He said, uh, just give a hoe a dream.
Hello.
So that's what he said. Give a
That
hoe a
that that's
dream.
his thing. Give a whole dream. So
Uh-huh.
everybody he
And keep them straggling along behind him. And just like
yep,
this poor lady, they had built a life together. I believe they had built a life together. And then he deceived her like he did. And then, and then another thing now, women, men,
hello. Hello.
if they don't want to marry you
Step.
and they want to keep you, and you decide, okay, we're going to just go along just like we are, get with the insurance company,
Ah,
bring him and her the papers, and say, if we're going to be in this for the long haul, I'm going to get something out of this.
yep.
So sign on the dotted line, baby.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Because people
I'm like,
invest their lives, their efforts
yes.
into people,
Yes.
and then they, what is bamboozle them? Is that what Malcolm X said? Bamboozle them and all that kind of stuff. They trick people. People need to stop that stuff. Stop playing with people's lives. That's some
This is
dangerous, dangerous
yeah.
stuff that embarrassed that poor lady when she thought.
Yes. Yes.
And the daughter, was it the daughter?
That's
She
just what I was
played
gonna say.
she
That's what I was
played
gonna say.
along with the
Yes.
whole thing.
Yes. That's what just I was just when I was waiting on you to get talking. I was gonna say, but the daughter ain't no better. The
And she's
daughter
no
ain't
good.
no better.
She
Nope.
is no good. But you,
No, but the daughter
but
ain't no better. See,
I have to
somebody
go
would have
back.
had to put
Ooh,
somebody had to they had to clean up that place because it's been some furniture moving and bench
but
pushing.
you
We done
know
told
what?
something.
Well, I don't think I would have. I would have. I don't think I would have. I probably would have been like that lady. I think I would have been like the lady. She did. She withdrew.
Yeah,
But
she
then I
did.
don't. But thank God for the strength that I have now. I don't think I'd go and just withdraw totally from society. But then you don't know what the strength of her mind was. You don't know what kind of. They must have had a great relationship because she
That's what
expected
she said.
to
She said
be.
that's what the girls.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Expected to be there as his significant other, as his soul.
Yes.
It came to me this
Mm-hmm.
morning as his soul. As soul. Okay.
Oh.
And then when she
Oh.
got there, here's this other lady sitting there. And you remember something happened in our family one time that was devastating to our sister. She planned this big wedding. You remember? Did you freeze reading?
I'm just dumbfounded. I'm trying to think who it is.
The wedding had the church set up. It was time for the wedding, and the sucker didn't show.
Yep. 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 Yeah.
That's
Yes.
when Bubba had to bring me back to reality.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. But
That
I'm gonna
stuff
tell you,
hurts.
now see, that's where me and you differ. Because I'm spent 40 years with this man and I can't even sit on the front row. I'm saying, you know what, sister? You're gonna have to scoot over because we both in this together.
Eh,
He fooled both of us. So we gonna put his ass away and then we take all.
well, it's
We
you
gonna
have to
put him
think about it
away and
because
then
it could be,
we
but
can settle this. Like two
but
women.
that stuff is devastating. That stuff can cause a person to have a heart attack, nervous breakdown,
Yeah,
and whatever. And who's to say that she didn't have one?
yeah, yeah. Because the girl said she withdrew from everything. Family, all that family
Went into
engagement.
depression. Probably
Yes,
was
she said
depressed.
to the
Uh-huh.
day she died. To the
People
day she died.
people need to think about this stuff, but that stuff is going on right now.
Every day.
Right now, every
Every
day,
day. Yes.
people are
Yes.
playing with people's
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
But they're going to have
Yes.
to pay for it, whether it's presently or in the hereafter. But they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get away. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man
Hello.
soweth, that shall he
Yes.
also reap.
Dog. Hello.
And
Ooh,
then
okay.
another thing is that God said that vengeance is mine. Whatever is right, I'll pay. I'll recompense. So he said, don't you try to take revenge. You let me handle it. And people, we have to realize that we have some notes in here. What is
I
Catherine
know
saying?
it. I'm looking at them too.
Okay, you read
Catherine
them.
said,
Okay, yeah.
Catherine
So,
said, I am sure there were signs, but some women think it's better to have half a man than none at all. She
hmm
said, now that's what was in the back of her mind.
hmm
That's true.
and
That's
that's true
true.
too.
Yeah, that's
But this
true too.
woman, this particular woman was taken totally aback
She was, yes.
because she
She
had
had no
no,
idea.
no. But Catherine
None.
is right. There's
Yep.
some women, they don't care whether they're second, third, or fourth.
Yep. That's
I
right. Long as they
remember,
can say they got a man.
I remember one time somebody messed over me and then had the audacity to get married and then come back and tell me I miss you. I was so mad at that booger. Ooh, I for years. I said, how dare you? How dare you?
Double dog dare you.
That's right. How
You
dare you do this?
scoundrel.
And then want me to play second fiddle to somebody else? Okay, I will see. I don't think that would have been a Freudian
Are you
slip.
pregnant? Yeah.
People need to stop playing
Are you
with people
sweating yet?
and messing and messing over people and
Yes.
making people telling these women, I love you. There's nobody in the world for me but you. And
But
then
you.
across town, or maybe even 2 or 3 blocks up the street, they got somebody else.
Yep.
And we've heard of men having different families, some of them more than two
Yep.
families at the same
Yep.
time. And these women
Yep.
are not aware of it
Yeah.
until he leaves here or gets in some kind of trouble.
Uh-huh.
There's a real life situation I heard about with some people that I know, somebody close to me knows, that one of them had a totally different life outside of the marriage. And it was not revealed until after the other one's death. And then all of this stuff came rolling in.
Ain't rolling that. Yep.
Totally different place to stay. All of that, but yet they were maintaining this home too.
Mm-hmm.
People
Yep.
do that stuff, and you think a person is one way and they are completely different.
The
That's
yeah.
why
Yes.
the scripture says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It also says that we should always pray. We should seek God and ask him for the desires of our heart, and he will give them to us if our ways please him. So he's
Mm-hmm.
not going to allow us to be fooled up. That's why we have these words that we can read, and we have to go by these words and stick to them so that we won't be fooled up. And I bet every one of us on here have been fooled maybe more than one time by
But it also
somebody.
say, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing.
Like that lady that read that poem over at the cafe over in Deep Ellum. At the end of her poem, she got rid of him. But this is very, Glee, that's super. And people need to check and
That's right.
recheck,
Recheck. That's
because
right.
some of these people have double and triple and
Triple.
quadruple lives.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They do. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining with us today. We're just so happy to have Drex, our cousin Drex, saying
Yes.
hello, cousins. And then Catherine, I'm looking. Now that was in the back of
Claudette Matthews.
you. Look what she said. That was in the back of your mind. That's
Hey
right.
there, Carolyn.
And
Hey there,
Claudette.
Carolyn.
Hi, Claudette. And cousin Drex.
And
And
Catherine,
Joe
thank you for
Carlin.
watching.
Thank you so much. But this is really, really good. So it goes back, and that can kind of coincide with the Freudian slips. What's in your mind, in the back of your mind, you know, it comes out. And so, like this man, his true character showed at the end
End
of
of
his life. He
yes.
had been deceptive to this woman. She had poured everything into him, I imagine, that she had to give.
Yes. Yes.
And then
The girl
ended
said
up
all she could talk about was marrying that man.
for 40 years.
40 years.
For 40 years. Whew, Lord God. But you know what?
He
That's why I
dancing on
say
hot coals.
be chaste, because I want you to look up Dr. Boyce Watkins, Boyce, if you haven't heard of him,
Okay.
Watkins. And he has
Uh-huh.
a piece in there he did the other day, like I said, about men wanting to keep these women, but they don't want to marry the women.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It happens
Uh-huh.
all the time. It's happening now.
Uh-huh. And
It's
so, and what
that
he said,
and yes, and the women don't. Some of these women, they don't give them an ultimatum. They just take how they treat them. They just
how,
take it.
because they
And like
seem to be
Catherine
so,
said, be glad to have a man. Just to
be
have a
glad
man.
to have a man. That's
Just
right.
to have
No
a man.
matter
That's
how
right.
they treat them,
That's
how they
right.
treat them, and some of them treat these women so bad. And then some of these women know, some know now
Yep. Yep.
that they have a spouse, or they have a
Yep.
SO, a soul,
Mm-hmm.
and they will go ahead and put up with them anyway. As far as even going out into to social gatherings, and he won't take her to the social gathering, but he's with the other one that he wants to be seen out
Mm-hmm.
in public with, and
And
people
then
let
there,
him keep
and then
coming. Say it again, Reed.
you got those that go by. They know about the significant other, and then they start picking with her, and she don't know nothing.
I've been there. You know I have
Yes, ma'am, I do know it.
been there,
I've been there and
been
done
there.
that too.
I wasn't the picker, but I was picked on. But
I
the
was too.
thanks be to God that I held my integrity. I held my
Oh,
integrity.
but that's what I'm supposed to have done.
But there,
I missed that part.
but thank God, here we are though to talk about it. We're here to talk about it and to tell
Amen.
people don't settle for anything, just anything.
Just it. That's right.
God will seek God and ask Him, if you don't have a soul, ask God to let one find you, ladies, and men. Ask God to let you find one. There are people in this world who have never had an SO, a soul, never been married, that are still chaste, men and women
Mm-hmm.
out here in this world. Everybody is not used up and all of that, and God has someone especially for you.
Yeah.
And
But
one thing that I tell my family, they're up and down situations sometimes. They know what I'm talking about. But I say, thank God, because I would be devastated if I had participated in any sexual activity with the person,
yep.
thinking that they care so much about me.
Yep.
But the Lord helped me to keep my dignity and my integrity. So when anything came up, then I didn't have to say, well, oh, I did this. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
in my later life, everybody. This is, God brought me to this point. We've all had mishaps in our lives. We've all done some things that we regret that we
Right.
did, but there's nothing we can do about those things that are already past.
All
And
right.
so
That's
what
it.
we have to do is just move forward minute by minute, second by second, millisecond by millisecond, and
Mm-hmm.
do better. The best that God will give us is the best that He will give us is the best for us. And
Right.
so, and what Dr. Boyce was saying, and then there's this thing about me, they say, well, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And then this lady came up and put this thing on there. Well, why buy the, why, why, why buy the whole hog when you can get the sausage for a piece of sausage? I said, finally, somebody spoke up for us. Because they're so quick to say, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Okay, so we got somebody that stuck up for us. Okay, it's 1:56 p.m. Okay, Rita, you see any more comments?
But
Oh,
I do
yes.
want to say this. I do want to say this. It's some good men out there. There are still good men out there. There are, but some of these women, and I'm not, and I'm talking about people that I know. They want to go by looks. They want the man that look like a model and the one that dressed like this, dressed like that. But there's a man somewhere. He might not be the finest looking man. He might not dress the finest, but he's a hard worker and he'll give you his soul. But you want the model and forget you don't look like a model.
That's the thing. People
Huh?
try to be picky.
Yes. And he tall, dark, and handsome, but you short, fat, and dumpy, but you want him. You forgot you don't look like a model either.
That is so
Who
well
was
said.
that?
That is so well said. Take a look at yourself and you will look at others differently. Put
Booyah.
your hand in the hand of the man from Galilee.
Hello.
God will supply your need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. He will give you the desires of your heart if your ways please him.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell God what you want, but
Mm-hmm.
always say, Lord, according to your will.
That's right.
Let your will be done.
And
And
Michael
then be
Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
man in the mirror. That's right. And be compassionate and be kind to each other. Treat
Yes.
each other fairly. And as
Yes.
much as lieth within you, live peaceable with all men. That means with everybody. And
Everybody.
then if you're hurt, if you're devastated, then
Oh,
remember that if you might need professional help. You might need some counseling, some therapy or something. Now, I'll put a little plug in there for myself, okay? I'm available. All you have to do is call, get in touch with me. I'm serious about this. Okay. But if you need some help, don't have this thing because our culture, our people, it's a thing, that we try to handle it. And we a lot of us, many of us, majority of us don't
yes.
think we should go to a counselor
Uh,
or a therapist or anybody
yeah,
like that.
that's true.
But I'm telling you, it can help you. It can help. And the thing is that if any of them tell any of your business, then you have a right to be compensated for that. Understand what I'm saying? Okay, to an
Right.
unauthorized person. You understand what I'm saying? So we're
Right.
bound by the law
By
and
law.
most of all by God,
Hello.
sworn to secrecy. And we're sworn to help as much as we can. Sometimes all the person needs is somebody to listen to them,
Just to listen. Just to listen.
just to be able to talk it out. But
Mm-hmm.
do that, but be very careful who you talk it out to because
Yep.
sometimes you're talking to someone about your business and they all in your business.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
So it's so much to talk about. But God will guide you. He will keep you. I know for a fact because He guides and He keeps me.
Pickles, really?
And so if you have
Pickles.
what's Pickles? She
Crying. Shut up.
Cleto fuss at it. She must hear me talking. Okay, everybody, it's two
She's
o'clock.
still talking.
We love you, everybody. Reedy,
Thank you for
Reedy, you have
watching.
a sale going on?
Yeah. Girl. Gucci.
Gucci. Wow. Oh, look
Gucci.
at that. I like
Gucci.
that.
Gucci.
Oh,
Oh,
I like
baby.
that.
Wait.
Okay.
Let me, it's coming. Fendi.
Oh,
Fendi.
yeah. I like both of those. I
Fendi.
like those. Yeah.
Yes. This
Yeah.
is Fendi. Yes.
Oh.
See the little F's all around there? The little F's for Fendi up going up.
Oh,
Little
okay.
F's.
Okay.
Yes.
And tell how
The
they
leather
contact
work.
you.
The leather work.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Q-star.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that one.
See Fendi.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how they
Those are just
contact
two
you?
of them. I got a whole bunch of them, but those are just two of them.
Okay. How they
Please
contact you?
boutique for the unique.
Clee's Boutique for the unique. All right. Those are
Authentic
wonderful.
luxury bag emporium also.
Okay.
Authentic luxury bag emporium.
All right. Wonderful. And don't
On
forget S
Facebook.
Poke Radio. S Poke Radio. Go there and listen to that wonderful, wonderful music. We have poetry. Just listen and getting ready to start giving prizes to our listeners. Okay, we're going to give some prizes to S
All
Poke
right.
Radio is going to give. So you have to listen in order to win. And so I will probably start. I was thinking about starting tomorrow with the prizes. We love you all. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, Reedy.
Have a great day, guys. Love you
Okay,
all.
love you
Okay. Bye
all.
bye.
See you Thursday.
Okay.
Eula will
All right.
probably be with us Thursday. Okay, love
I
you
hope
all.
so. All
Okay.
right. Bye bye.